Hey guys, welcome to a special episode of the 716 Sports Entertainment Podcast, where we're gonna talk about Hulk Hogan. And I know we're obviously a little late to the party here with probably all of the content that everyone has seen come out over the past couple of days since Thursday when Hulk Hogan unfortunately had passed away in his Clearwater, Florida home. But we'll also, get to you guys. We'll talk about SmackDown and everything else that was. But first, Sean, how do you feel, man? I mean, give me some of your favorite memories of Hulk Hogan and tell me how you feel about everything that occurred.
Honestly, I thought Hogan was older than 71. I mean, he's definitely been showing his age these last several years when he's shown up, and no doubt part of that is due to all the controversy and everything that he's in. Um, and I mean, Hulk Hogan as a person, there was a point there where he couldn't stay away from controversy, and he did not come across as a particularly great person. And I mean, I'm hoping to avoid anybody coming at us in the comments here because I know you don't support anything he said, neither do I in his controversy. But I know he found God later on in life here. And from everything I've been reading about him, it appears that he was trying to turn himself around. And even seeing him the last time he showed up for WWE, which I think was at the Netflix Raw premiere, like you could tell that he had just had some sort of surgery and that it was starting to get to him. And it's crazy to see somebody that like we grew up with in wrestling. And I don't know if it was the same for you, but it was a huge reason why I was watching wrestling when I was younger. I mean, he was the all-American hero who could overcome anything. I mean, I like to make the jokes about say your vitamins and eat your prayers, but I mean, it was his go-to thing, and he was Vince McMahon's first huge marketable superstar. And if we wouldn't have had that team up of Vince and Hogan, we wouldn't have had The Rock. We wouldn't have had Stone Cold Steve Austin. We probably wouldn't have had the WWE as we know it. And the thought of that is crazy, and the thought that he's gone is nuts. I mean, he was doing the movies before that was a thing. I mean, we were just talking about it, Mr. Nanny and Suburban Commando, and just the goofiness of all that. And then, of course, everything he brought to the ring. Like, yeah, he you could never expect him to be doing moonsaults in the ring, but for the style he worked, that physical like late 80s, early 90s. I mean, hell, they call it hulking up for a reason. Um, and then everybody forgets too that he went over to Japan and he wrestled in Japan and earned his name over there too. And everyone likes to give crap to Hogan for burying people, which he did, but most of your big name stars end up doing that. I know I'm on a tangent here, but I
Okay.
think that uh, I really think without Hogan in the early 90s, without Hogan and the NWO and WCW, just we would not have the WWE that we love and talk about today.
Yeah, it's very well said. I mean, I completely agree with you. And I remember over the course of my lifetime, I'm, gonna be 41 this year. And I started watching wrestling like right around the time WrestleMania 6 happened when it was Hogan and Warrior in the main event. And I actually just went back and rewatched that match. I mean, it was terrible. Like
It
the
was.
match was terrible, but I'll tell you at the same time, 6 or 7 year old me loved the crap out of that. Like I loved everything about that, and I was devastated when the Hulkster lost that match. I mean, looking back at it now, it was the right booking, but I mean, absolutely devastated when that happened. And you're right. So many memories and so many things to think about, both on our screens and in the WWE as well, WWF, WCW, and I mean the starting of the NWO, like when he came out and he was the third man with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. I mean, that was unbelievable. Like, I mean, he went from being the most marketable white meat babyface out there to the biggest heel in wrestling. Like, I
And
mean. unbelievable. The hatred that the fans had, and they were the ring was littered. I remember like the ring was littered with beer cans and soda
Yep.
bottles and garbage, and like people were pissed. Little
Oh
kids
yeah.
were crying. I mean, it was nuts. I could not believe that that happened. I remember like I don't know. I know I took like in the early 2000s, like I took a break from wrestling. So like right after maybe WrestleMania 20 or so, I probably took a break for like 6 or 7 years from wrestling. And then like, I got back into it again like right around WrestleMania 30 with you guys. But I will never forget WrestleMania 18 as well with him and I know it wasn't the main event, it was Jericho and Triple H, I think was the main event of that one. But his match with The Rock in that WrestleMania, that was unbelievable. I mean, it was a nothing match, and if you were to go back and like watch that match without sound, it would probably be atrocious. But the way the crowd was, the crowd was all into that match, and then the way they were the next Monday Night Raw after that, like giving Hogan just a hero's welcome, was absolutely awesome, and it just takes me back to like my childhood and how like I really grew to like just to love professional wrestling.
Like I said, we wouldn't even have The Rock if Hogan didn't pave the way. Um, he walked so Dwayne could run. Um, and here's a question for you. And I know we like to talk about mainly WWE, but we also occasionally talk about the competitors. Does AEW put pettiness aside and give him a salute?
It should.
I feel like that's the right thing to do, even though they've come out and made some comments about him in the past. I feel like that's still the right thing to do, right?
Yeah, I'm curious if WWE is going to do something else on Monday as well, with a little bit more time to prepare because obviously this happened on Thursday and they only had one day for the show there. But I feel like just given his impact on the industry, at the bare minimum, Tony Khan should tweet something.
Yeah,
You know, like I mean, I wouldn't actually. I don't even know if he has. Maybe he has, but I feel like yeah, that would be a classy thing to do, but I don't know. I don't know if they're going to do anything or not, but I really feel like WWE should do like a full. I mean, I know that it was kind of like a quasi tribute show, but like they should do a full tribute show like at some point. I know like we're right smack dab right before SummerSlam here, but you know, you take
if
you can put that stuff aside for something of this magnitude. I mean, who's the like, can we think of anybody? I mean, I know he wasn't beloved, which is maybe what makes it a little bit different, whereas like, God forbid the day something happens to the Undertaker
yeah,
or or Sean, I mean like
or Triple
imagine,
H.
or Triple H, like imagine what that's gonna be like. But I mean, yeah, you're
It,
absolutely right. He was a pioneer and he made this business what it is. And all the you know, I forget what channel I was watching because I've been consuming a lot of content on this, but there was one of the channels, one of the hosts was talking about how there are different versions of this person. There's Hulk Hogan, the wrestler,
yep,
Hulk Hogan, the actor, Hulk Hogan, the backstage politician, and then Terry Bollea, the person. And, you know, you kind of got to separate them a little bit, I think, because it's very fair to say that Terry Bollea, the person, was kind of a piece of crap for a
yeah,
long time. He was a racist. He was a sexist pig. I mean, he was not a good person. And the same thing with the backstage. We talk about it. There's all sorts. I mean, there's an infinite number of wrestlers we could talk about who have buried people. Cena has, Triple H has, Hogan has. A lot of these guys have we thought Roman Reigns and Charlotte Flair have buried people. But, you know, Hogan, the wrestler, I mean, one of the greatest entertainers ever.
Simon Miller talked about a similar situation as to what you were saying about the different shades of Hogan. And I don't know if you watched it, but if you get a chance, go and watch his, I think it was actually on his ups and downs video at the beginning. Watch what he has to say about it. And he did a real good job of putting it into words. And I mean, it's a little bit different coming from somebody who's probably actually in the wrestling industry like he is,
Yeah.
versus us who are just commentators on it.
Yeah.
But you're right. You have to approach this as the different versions of Hulkamania here. And honestly, what you were saying about them doing a tribute show, if I'm WWE, I do the first or the second Raw after SummerSlam. I do a show that's completely dedicated to Hogan. And I have matches that aren't necessarily in storyline, but I guarantee you Cena would be willing to put aside his heelness to do some sort of tribute match. Punk, we all know Punk didn't particularly like Hogan, but I'm sure even he can acknowledge that what Hogan did for the industry. I'm sure all of these guys in the locker room would be happy. And plus, that would give them time to get some of these guys who haven't been around or who couldn't get there for Friday to be there for this, like Flair. I was saying before we started how Flair was breaking down on TMZ. I'm sure they could get Flair to come in and talk about him. And I mean, get Jimmy Hart was there, but how about you give Jimmy Hart some time to talk about the guy? Like Jimmy Hart was one of his best friends.
Yeah.
Um,
Jimmy Hart was
and
there. I saw Jim Duggan looked like he was in rough shape.
I saw him
Uh,
when he was here in Buffalo.
yeah, I saw Slaughter was there too. He was standing right next to Cody.
Yep. And even Dwayne, like if I'm Dwayne and they do a tribute show, I show up. Like I say in person the things that he made a video about because he made a pretty good video too, which if you haven't had a chance, you should watch it. Talking about how he wouldn't really even be a thing if Hogan weren't a thing, and his match with Hogan at 20, I think it was right,
18.
was one of the 18 was one of the highlights of his career.
Yeah. No, it absolutely was. It was not it was not the best wrestling match I have ever seen as far as a technical wrestling match, but as far as sports entertainment, I can maybe think of like two or three matches that I would put ahead of that. That was
Yeah,
the most entertaining match like I've ever seen. Top five, easy. Most entertaining match I've ever witnessed in my life. I mean, I love that so much. I mean, I've talked about WrestleMania 40 and how, I almost was brought to tears when Cody won the title there. But I mean, that's this WrestleMania 18 match with him and Dwayne is right up there. It's
I mean,
unbelievable.
I was definitely sports entertained. And you asked my memories of Hogan. I think my one of the funniest things of him was when he was fired by Vince and Mr. America all of a sudden appeared on the scene, and Vince was going crazy trying to figure out who Mr. America was with his luchador mask and his giant Hogan mustache and just the absolute stupidity of it and just how incredibly entertaining something that dumb was.
That was pretty funny. So So Friday Night SmackDown started with obviously a tribute. What you see behind me here, where all the everybody came out, including a couple, Jim Duggan, Sergeant Slaughter, Jimmy Hart, a variety of guys, plus the entire locker room. And some people looked like they were like a little bit emotional about it. A lot of them didn't, although they didn't really pan on to everybody specifically. Triple H gave a nice speech about Hogan, as I kind of expected he would. And what else can you say about WWE's video editing team? I mean, unbelievable. Within one day to do that. And, we unfortunately, we only ever seem to like get to see this stuff when somebody passes away. But like, I'm taken back to when Bray Wyatt's thing happened, a couple years ago. And it was the same thing, when Bray Wyatt passed away and they had to do that video for him as well. That was unbelievable, and my hat goes off to the team that WWE has that puts those things together because it was spectacular.
Yeah, the you can always count on WWE to put together good vignettes and video packages, and for no matter what the reason is, they always do a fantastic job with it. I mean, I have to imagine they have a department that just does that. And Triple H's narration of that video package was just spot on.
Yeah, absolutely. So the show proper opened up with Logan Paul coming down to the ring to cut down Jelly Roll a little bit, to which, obviously brought out Jelly Roll, Drew McIntyre, and Randy Orton. And they all, said some stuff to one another. And this was just, obviously to, continue to add heat to their SummerSlam match, their tag team SummerSlam match. And it ended with the baby faces looking over as the heels were in the entrance ramp making their way in retreat. And, everybody got a little bit of offense in. The one thing I did want to say about this, and I wanted to get your take on it, was I really feel like the WWE must be really high on Logan Paul, given that they let Logan Paul be the one to be in the ring, not Drew, right? Like, it would make sense if it was Drew, because they probably trust Drew and Drew's very safe. But they let Logan Paul be the one to get physical with Jelly Roll, take a move from Jelly Roll, give a move to Jelly Roll. And I was very impressed with that. I was like, I very impressed with the whole situation. Like, I mentioned my feelings on Logan Paul numerous times, but I wanted to get your take on that.
So I don't hate Logan Paul to the degree of you or some of our friends do. Um, and I will be the first person to give Logan Paul credit for the work that he puts in. I mean, hell, the guy built a ring in his mansion so that he can practice and train. So he puts the work in, and you can tell. And if I had to guess, I'd say that's why WWE trusted him with it. Like you said, they very well could have had it be McIntyre in the ring because he's Drew McIntyre and he's probably one of the safest guys out there. It's very telling of the pedestal that WWE has Logan Paul on. And as much as I hate to say it, I think he's going to be a major part of things going forward.
Absolutely.
Um, and as long as they keep allowing him to be himself and to be the natural born scumbag that he is, he um he's going to thrive. I mean, the physicality today or yesterday was impressive. I mean, hell, the physicality on the late show or whatever the hell they were on when Jelly Roll put him through the desk is way more than I would have expected out of Jelly Roll and Logan Paul. Like you talked to me 5 years ago and you say that you were going to have Jelly Roll and Logan Paul going at it in the WWE ring, I would have laughed you out of the building.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of looking forward to this match. I mean, I know it's not gonna be like a five-star Tokyo Dome match, but I think it's gonna be entertaining. And you can definitely tell when you have celebrities who are actually wrestling fans in the ring. You saw it with Bad Bunny. You saw it with Logan Paul. You see it now with Jelly Roll. You saw it with Stephen Amell. The guys who are actually wrestling fans are they put the work in to be out there.
Yeah, I completely agree. And yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm feeling very confident that the baby faces will probably win. If it doesn't really hurt Logan Paul to lose, like,
No.
at all. So, I'm sure Jelly Roll will probably get the pin on him and it'll be fine. Um, so our first match of the show was Roxanne Perez versus Alexa Bliss, and Roxanne came out with Raquel, and Alexa Bliss came out with Charlotte Flair, who had pom poms, and I thought that was hysterical. I thought this match was interesting, and I really am intrigued as to how much WWE is protecting Roxanne Perez because she ended up getting the pin on Alexa after a bunch of shenanigans happened at the end of this match. And it was a good match. Both of the outside players got involved a little bit. And, there was definitely some interference, but Alexa obviously still looks great. She still looked like she can very much go. That dragon screw she hit on Roxanne was fantastic. And yeah, I was very impressed with this. But Roxanne picked up the win, and they're both one apiece heading into their tag team match for SummerSlam.
Roxanne had new music, right? That definitely sounded new.
It did, and it sounded awful.
I mean, it didn't sound as bad as some. Like, it definitely didn't sound as bad as Selena Vega's music. But I think that this match going the way that it did was the right call. I think you needed to have them split victories before their actual match. And what I want to give them credit for is the amount of work they're putting in to make Charlotte Flair likable. Like the pot coming out with the pom poms, all of that. I mean, yeah, Roxanne won with the most devastating move in all of wrestling, but it was after Alexa twisted Bliss to the outside to save Roxanne and busted her own face open. Like
Yeah.
I just these four women have and saying this about Raquel Rodriguez is normally not something I would expect, but these four women are working real well together and have some pretty damn good chemistry. And I think it's going to be kind of disappointing to see the Judgment Day lose the women's tag titles. Spoiler alert, that's my thought for our prediction show, but I've been also saying it for months now. But when you go, I'm going to include and talk about they had that little backstage segment afterwards with Charlotte and Alexa. Like the chemistry that you're seeing with the two of them, and the fact that now those T-shirts that they had are outdated because they're actually friends now. Um, is just I really enjoyed it, and I think that the comments that Charlotte made towards Alexa did a lot towards humanizing her and making her seem like less of a bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, I really, like I said before, it just seems like she's having fun now, and like
Yep.
it's organic, right? Like, which is what needed to happen all along, right? Like she needed to find her own way to get over with the fans and not to be forced down everybody's throats. Similar, this is obviously a very loose comparison, right? But like, look at what happened with Roman Reigns, right? When he was a babyface and everybody couldn't stand him. And then, the tribal chief thing happened. And now look at him, he's a megastar. I mean, it's not, it's apples and oranges, obviously, but like, it did a thing with a character who was at the time very similar to what Charlotte Flair has been for years. You know, overbooked, pushed down everybody's throats, wins all the time, and nobody wanted to see, like, had go away heat. And now, like, it's interesting. Charlotte Flair is interesting now, and I hope that they just continue to keep this up.
I agree.
So we then head backstage where Kathy Kelly catches up with Jade Cargill, and after she has finished speaking with Cargill, Chelsea approaches and complains about the Queen of the Ring, and it leads them to having a match at ringside. And Jade obviously picks up the very easy win, and then what I wanted to get to with this, which made no sense to me, was the post-match angle of this match, whereas like 'cause this was a nothing match, Jade kind of squashed her. But then after the match was over, the rest of the Secret Service came and beat down Jade a little bit, and then Tiffany comes in to make the save for her SummerSlam opponent. I didn't really understand this at all. I kind of thought that this was really stupid booking. Like, why is Tiffany coming to make this? Is it just because they're both baby faces? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
like, what are we doing here? And then Jade like wouldn't give her the title back, and it was just like really awkward and stupid. And I know we've had plenty to say about Jade on this channel, but like, I don't know. What did you think?
So before we even get to that, I just want to say I am absolutely dreading the thought of Jade Cargill as champion. Um, it is going to be Nia Jax levels of terrible as a champion. Um, I don't think that I didn't enjoy the fact that she basically buried Chelsea Green. And for no reason. Like, yeah, I get it. Chelsea was complaining about her, but have her at least be a little bit more competitive during that match. And then afterwards, like you said, it makes absolutely no sense to have Tiffany come out there and save her unless this is to set up Chelsea and the Secret Service interfering during the title match because that's
Yeah,
about the only thing I could see. And honestly, if them interfering means Jade doesn't win, sign me up.
yeah, I'm kind of okay with that. I'm concerned, like, where do you go with Tiffany if she loses? Like, does she just go right back down the card? You know?
I don't honestly know. You're so tied up with your other titles with actual people. Um, I feel like there isn't a place for Tiffany.
Yeah, I agree. So next we had Cody Rhodes come down to the ring, and just, cut a very Cody Rhodes promo, talked about how SummerSlam isn't about virtue or victory and how he doesn't want to wrestle the current version of John Cena. He wants to fight the real John Cena. And he says if this is John Cena's last SummerSlam, then he better come, well, like it's his first, and he better come and, talk to Stu the cameraman. He wear the title around his waist like he, actually means it. And then he really wants him to, quote, bring all of the, quote, hustle, loyalty, and respect. And if not, he will, quote, beat it out of him. So, I mean, Cody's a great promo. This is no surprise at all. Cody, if anybody can get you fired up for a match, it's Cody Rhodes. Um, I still don't know how I'm feeling about this match, though. I really don't know where it's going to go. I'm very intrigued with how this is going to go.
I think it's the first step on turning Cena back face. Um, with him telling him he expects him to bring back all the old qualities of Cena. And to be honest with you, I'm still not discounting there being a double turn in this match and us getting Cody heel and Cena turn back face because yeah, Cody was talking about what he needed to do, but I still kind of get the impression that the way he's talking about it and talking about how he's going to do anything and how he's going to beat it out of somebody still comes across as kind of heelish to me.
Yeah. No, I mean, they've been planting those seeds for a while, and it's certainly interesting, So I'm just very intrigued with where this main event is going to go. I'm really having a hard time um predicting who's going to win, which we will have our predictions next week, won't we? Because
Yep.
SummerSlam, Jesus, SummerSlam's next week. Holy
Week away
smokes.
from today.
So this next bit, did I miss something last week on SmackDown? Because this next bit seemed to have come out of nowhere. Where backstage we had a segment with Jacob Fatu and The Miz, and The Miz got in Fatu's face and just bitch slapped him right in the face, which led to an impromptu match, which was actually a pretty good match. Miz definitely held his own against Jacob Fatu for a little while. And then obviously the MFTs came out, which, we kind of knew that they would. And, obviously a ton of interference. Jimmy came down again to try and make the save. And, it ended up obviously leading to Jacob Fatu picking up the win, but the MFTs ended up standing tall after uh, Hikuleo and the law firm laid him out and laid out Jimmy and Jacob. So, what happened here? Did I miss something last week, or what's going on here?
No, this was just Miz coming back from his filming of American Gladiators. And I mean, unless they're going off the fact that Miz was pissed off about how he was a Cleveland guy and Jacob was wearing Cleveland stuff,
Mhm.
um, I don't, it felt random. And especially as Miz was coming off of his stuff with Carmelo, like it just felt like this was a weird spot to put him in. Like, why wouldn't we get Miz confronting Hayes? Like, why are we getting him confronting Jacob? It sort of jumped the shark plot line wise, and hopefully it was just a one off, and it's not something that they continue trying to do with them because Miz should not be involved in this feud.
Yeah, I agree. Then we finally had an appearance of our United States champion Julia backstage, and she's going to have a rematch with Zelina Vega next week for the SmackDown United States Women's Championship, which is good. I'm glad that she's going to be back on TV again.
Thank
And then
God.
we had our main event, which was Ray Phoenix and Andrade versus the Wyatt Six, which really, I mean, it was fine as the match was kind of going on. Andrade and Ray Phoenix are fantastic, and the Wyatt Six are definitely getting better. But this match obviously developed into chaos relatively quickly, towards the end of the match, towards the end of the show, when all of these SmackDown tag teams came out and it just went into chaos. Street Profits, DIY for Axiom. And Nick Aldis was like, enough is enough with this. And we're going to have a TLC match at SummerSlam. Thank God. Thank God, because that is exactly what needs to happen. And I gotta tell you, it's going to be the best match of SummerSlam by a mile. These six teams, the Street Profits, Fraxium, the Motor City Machine Guns, DIY, the Wyatt Six, and Andrade and Ray Phoenix, sign me up. Like, that is going to be, and I have no idea who's going to win. I have no idea who's going to win. I think it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
I think it was last week when you and I were doing our SmackDown review, we were talking about how why SmackDown was always insistent on putting their tag team title match on the night before the PLE and how little sense it made. Um, and I'm not going to lie, I'm glad that I was correct in my prediction that something was going to happen during this and it was going to get added to SummerSlam. And I'm happy it went even bigger than I expected. I thought it was just going to end up being like another rematch added to SummerSlam. For them to make it a tables, ladders, and chairs match, especially with the teams that are involved, this match is going to be brutal. And
Oh,
I would not be surprised if people got hurt during this match. Um, my only hope is that they have one of two different teams win because I think that that's what they need to do to carry this division forward. But SmackDown's tag team division is probably one of the better divisions in WWE lately.
oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you've got like six or seven teams now, which I actually think like you might even stand to send a couple of them to Raw, frankly, because Raw needs help.
Yeah.
Um, but with that being said, I'm ecstatic for this match, and like this really, I think this is going to be absolutely awesome. But overall, SmackDown kind of had like, you know, given everything that happened, right, with Hogan, it kind of had sort of a somber feeling, but the promise of this TLC match at SummerSlam is going to be fantastic. And we did do a little bit to build up some of the matches as well. We had some good promo segments. I'm glad Julia's coming back. Um, yeah, I think this show was fine. I think it did what it needed to do, given the circumstances. And I would give it a 3 out of 5.
So this definitely had to be one of their tougher shows to book because how do you book the day after an icon dies like that? And I will give them credit for most of it. I think a big takeaway from this was that not a single one of the matches ended in a clean finish. Um, Either all of them either had interference or ended in DQ or something. Not a single one had a legit finish, and that makes things a little bit awkward to me. I think you need to you can't have basically the same result for every match. But I think I'd have to agree with you that three out of five given the occasion. And I would have been hoping for a little bit more had this been a normal show, but I'm content with how it was.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've got another Raw and another SmackDown before SummerSlam, which is a 2 night affair next weekend. We'll have our picks for you guys next week, probably Thursday. We'll put those out for you when the card is finalized. We obviously did have the Roman Reigns and Jey Uso against the bronze match, which was added to the card, and it looks like SummerSlam is it's pretty rocking now. We've got about 13 or 12 or 13 matches now on SummerSlam, so it's going to be a good show, and hopefully yours truly will continue to keep his lead. What are we at now? 20. What am I at? 25 for me, 24 for Reese, and 23 for you. That sounds
Something
right.
like that.
Yeah, we'll get those picks, and looking forward to SummerSlam, and looking forward to the football season, which is coming fast and furious. So we have a
This
game,
week, right?
real live game this Thursday, the Hall of Fame game. So should be a good time. So as always, guys, I've been Mike with 716 Sports Entertainment Podcast, joined by Mr. Sean O'Neill. Guys, have yourselves a fantastic evening. Smash that like and subscribe button. We really appreciate it. And take care.